Welcome to episode 69 of What's That Sound podcast. My name's Stu Watts, and today I spoke with Malcolm Besley, who is a producer, mixer, and songwriter from Melbourne. In this episode, we discussed why the goal of every job that you do should be making good art, the evolution of his mixing workflow, and why he always starts a mix by dialing the bottom end in. If you got value out of this podcast and you want to help us out, you can share the podcast around in a conversation on your social media, any way that will help us spread the word about this podcast. You can rate us 5 stars on the platform that you're listening to this on. That will help us grow in the algorithm. You can drop a comment and interact with me. I always love getting into the commentary on the socials, on YouTube, anything like that. If you would like to buy some merch, you can buy a t-shirt. The links to that and everything else of my work and Malcolm's work is in the show notes, as well as our email address if you would like to get in contact with us. For all that and heaps more, stay tuned. Let's get into this episode of What's That Sound podcast with my guest, Malcolm Besley. You're listening to What's That Sound with your host, Stu Watts. Welcome, everyone. I am here today with Malcolm Besley. Malcolm,
Hello.
Thanks for coming down to the studio. I always love a studio visit, and I just think I love this in-person thing. So thanks for making it down.
100%, me too.
Well, for anyone that doesn't know who you are, give us a quick rundown into what you do in the music industry.
Music producer and mixing engineer primarily. Bit of mastering, a little bit of session drums.
Nice.
Recently, and usually engineer those sessions too.
Yep.
Which is,
Yep.
not ideal, but also
sometimes the necessary.
Sometimes
evil.
it's just the right thing.
Yep.
That's it mainly. I do songwriting, but again, I'd probably say less.
Yep.
And then was playing with Northeast Party House.
Yep. Nice.
For 15 years.
Yeah, crazy. Well, take us back to before that, when you were young. Where'd music come into your world?
No really interesting story, but my mum was great with music. She just played the piano around the house and really encouraged us and got us doing it all.
Yep.
My dad actually had a surprisingly good record collection, even though he never listened to any of them.
Okay.
He didn't even know half of them. I don't know how he got them. But me and my brothers used to, literally go through vinyls and just experiment with what was in there and listen to stuff and slowly found the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame you didn't become a hip hop or a DJ or something like that.
We had yeah.
Yeah. And then, so music for you.
Yeah, it was just very available. My parents made it accessible and encouraged us when we took an interest in it.
Yeah.
I remember 2 distinct times when they proactively tried to push us away from it, which backfired.
Right.
Massively. It was because it was like 80s, 90s point when cock rock was still around, but it was on the out.
Yeah.
And my brother had bought Poison, Open Up and Say Ah.
Right.
We had Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. We had Bon Jovi, New Jersey, Def Leppard, Hysteria, which at the time was just like the most amazing thing I'd ever heard. My cousin at the time, he had a bright red, dual cassette player, boombox thing.
Crazy.
And he played me Def Leppard.
That's sick.
Through that, which was just like that was definitely a point of awakening to music.
Yeah,
hearing that record and just being like, what?
Yeah.
It went from like this fun thing you do, in the lounge room, hitting a tambourine to like being really like, I don't know how to explain it, but it sort of just comes alive in you.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
No, I love it.
Figured out how to articulate that.
I love it. I think I want to say my first album that my dad bought me was Alice Cooper, Hey Stupid. So it's in line with that genre.
So you know that feeling. We'd have the same nostalgia kick.
Yeah. And my dad had the records as well. So yep.
Yeah, it was like, I remember. Anyway, we'll dive into that. But the point was we had these cassettes that my brother had got.
Yep.
And one day my mum caught some of the lyrics. I think it was definitely Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Highly sexual, sexist and drug glorifying stuff. And she threw all the tapes in the bin.
Damn.
And, like the classic, this is devil's music kind of moment, which of course just made it like even more exciting.
Love it.
So
So
then it was just like, okay, so we'd tape, like CDs were probably starting then, so we'd get tapes that were recorded from CDs from friends, and we had our own little like black market at home of just getting tapes off people.
dubbing.
Yeah. And dubbing stuff in secret off the radio.
I used to dub all the time.
So it just pushed us underground with our tastes.
That's really cool. That's an interesting place to start as well.
Yeah.
With like, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
The other thing was I wanted to play drums. My mum was like, we're not doing drums. You can play any instrument you want, not doing drums.
So you did drums.
And then I just kept at it, and she was like, all right, if you do lessons for a year, we'll go half on a kit. So it sort of pushed against that, and I did the lessons for a year, practiced on my, practiced on the bed, whatever. Kept that up for a year. We got a kit, and then I remember putting in a lot of time into like listening to music and playing the drums, and I distinctly remember being told, you'll never get anywhere from just listening to music. There's no jobs in that. And I'm like, so maybe subconsciously that was like my moment to be like, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
Real like very so sort of like classic teenage boy.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is too. I think it's not that glamorous. I think it was just being a sook. But interestingly, those two moments was them sort of pushing back, which of course didn't do anything. But outside of that, it was always very encouraging environment.
Yeah, cool.
Always made available.
And so was it just focusing on drums for a while there then?
So this is like teenage high school. So I just played drums. So I didn't know about music production or engineering. I definitely had an ear for it early on because I would listen to records and be like, why does that hi-hat sound so annoying? Remember this band, The Meanies? I'd listen to them. I'm like, there's something about, I like this song, but there's something about the way this sounds that's annoying. And then I'd put on like I'd put on other records I love, and I'm like, I don't necessarily like this songwriting as much, but there's something so impactful and alluring and amazing about how the record sounded that made me want to keep putting it on. And looking back, I remember there was like 5 or 6 albums I had that feeling. They were all mixed by Andy Wallace. And it was like, I was obviously connecting to his mixing and then hearing, that there was something really powerful in that.
I love that. Yeah, it's so good. It's funny when you don't know what it is, but you're still hearing it.
Yeah, but I definitely had a really good ear for that. I remember I could hear the difference between Triple J and Triple M and how their limiting worked on the broadcast. I could hear, this one's brighter, this one's more compressed. I didn't have those terms. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I was hearing it.
That's so good. That's so good.
Because I always notice, like when you listen to music on the radio, it's more, you can hear more of the ambience. You can hear, because it's so smashed, it brings forward all of the, and I remember being aware of that and being annoyed by it and being like, what? And noticing that the choruses didn't hit like they did when I listened on cassette or CD.
Wild.
So I could hear that it wasn't impacting. Like you'd have that moment where it breaks down to the guitar like do 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 do, and then it hits and it was quieter. Like the radio compression is so intense that when the chorus hits, it's quieter than the little.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And that just used to drive me nuts. So I was really like picky about this stuff without knowing what I was experiencing.
That's cool.
So I think I was kind of always dialed right for it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And did you move into any sort of formal education with music?
Yeah. So I did arts because that's what you do when you don't know what to do, and got a year and a half into that and was just feeling pretty lost and hopeless. And essentially I was just procrastinating doing all of my uni work by making tracks at home.
Yep.
Messing around on Reason,
yep.
Fruity Loops.
Yep.
We had like N-Track.
Never heard of that one.
Super old school DAW. Free, just the free ones.
Yeah, I used to use Sony Acid.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I never used it, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just basically failing because I was just dicking around with music and enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I did music production at Box Hill TAFE.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I really didn't know how, well, it's like, well, how do you do this as a job? You know, so I definitely was always taught you go to uni and you learn something and then you go.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bachelor back then. It was only a dip.
Yep. Yep.
It's like 2002 or something, 3.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah. What are your memories
Long
of
time
any
ago.
of that stuff? Like any memories that come back from that period? Or?
Well, I was surprised that I really liked it.
Yeah.
I just found myself wanting to go to school and staying back after class and actually, you know, trying to get time in the studio. Like we'd do things like go in there at night and try and stay the night there. And so yeah, I just found that I actually enjoyed it and was interested, which was good.
And
so it was the right call.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like the actual, do you think that you've taken what have you taken from those days that you do you reckon
that was the
into,
question. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, good.
It's interesting that a teacher I had in some ways I was like, if I do the opposite of what he does, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah.
I sort of experienced what it's like to have a bad engineer or producer in the room that and what sort of is a bad environment.
Yeah.
So that was one big thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because I learned early on that it's got to be fun.
Yep.
It's about hanging out.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, we can get into the philosophy of all, you know, the journey is the point.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was one thing. And then I just learned the basics. Like I learned things that you know, this is pre-YouTube, so there's no resource to find out what a compressor is, how it works, or how signal flow works.
Yep.
So yeah, just got the basic understanding of how to operate all of the gear.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of how to actually make things sound good, didn't learn that.
No.
But I just learned how to do the things, and I had a space that I could experiment in, and definitely had some good negative role models.
Yeah. Honestly, like you bring up such a good point, and like it is important to see stuff go wrong, or like people guide things in the way that you're like just don't resonate with. Yeah. And like it works for some people as well. Like maybe, you know, like I think there's someone for everyone, but there is definite things where you're like, this is not how I would want to operate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I distinctly remember one thing, a student putting a snare bottom mic up and a teacher walked in and was like, what are you doing? What's that American shit? Get that out of there. And I'm like, well, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
It was just
bizarre.
Yeah. Like teaching is all about supporting you create, like the whole studio experience is like we're creating a safe and open space where you can be creatively free. There's no wrong.
Yep.
It's just you're here to like flourish and like let your personality come through and do.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so it was just nice. Like seeing the opposite of that was great.
And then when you started to do it yourself after uni?
So then after I finished uni, I was like, okay, so I thought the idea was you go to TAFE, you get a job, right? You just go to a studio and you're like, I have my degree.
Yeah.
Can I have a job now?
Yeah,
and it turns out no. Being a producer is the same as being a musician. It's like there are no jobs. You got to grind away at it. Yeah. It's like all self-determined. There's no clear pathways in the industry. No one has a clue. Everyone that has made it doesn't even know how they made it.
I'm just going to scrap this podcast.
So I was just like, oh, okay. So I'm just back where I was and got really like, again, sooky about it, which seems to be a default character of mine early on, and just like hung out with mates and I kept like writing music, kept recording at home, but really just like was like, oh, I have no ambition. That was pointless.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was like a year. I did a few things. What I did, one really good thing is I joined a youth committee through the Push. I don't know if you remember that festival. I was on their youth advisory committee and just met some really motivated people. None of them were producers, but they're all in the music industry.
Yep.
And that was great, just meeting people who were like proactive and organized and actually doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them said to me, you should just volunteer at some studios.
Yeah.
So, and then this is again pre-internet. Well, you know, pre-internet being like the holy Bible of all things life.
Yeah,
It was just like, it wasn't really the main resource. There was a book that was like the Australian music industry book, like the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember.
So I just went through the studios, ABC, called the first one. It was like some studio starting with an A. They didn't answer. Called the next studio. It was the Base Studios in South Melbourne.
Yeah.
And called up. I was like, hi, I'm just looking to volunteer. And the guy on the phone was like, great, yep, come down. He's like, I love that you said you wanted to volunteer. Because everyone else was doing the same thing, calling studios and be like, I've got a diploma. Where's my job?
And you could have said that.
Yeah. But he was like, straight away, he's like, I love that you offered to volunteer. Come down, come and hang out. So, and then the best thing about this is my favorite Australian producer at this point, early 2000s, coming out of the peak new metal era, was Forrester Savell.
Yep.
Who's done,
Yeah.
well, Carnival's probably his like thing that most people know him for.
Yeah.
So that was the producer that I spoke to.
That's amazing.
So literally
That's so
walked
cool.
into a studio with my favorite engineer. Second place I called, and then they were happy to have me be the sort of in-house volunteer at the studio.
Yep.
And I reckon after like 2 weeks of watching Forrester, I had learnt more about making music than the last 5 years of dicking around and going to TAFE. And
it's good to have that though. I think like
I really got lucky.
yeah, absolutely. But I think the sad thing that like I know so many people would relate to those first couple of years for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like that. Like the experience of TAFE or uni, it's kind of like you take what you can from it, but there's not always a lot to take from it unless you've got a really good teacher that actually explains things well and knows what they're talking about, which is really hard to come by.
We did.
I might be harsh.
We had some awesome teachers. I do want to say that.
Yeah.
But not when it came to this is how you make a song sound great on record.
Yeah.
Like the history teacher there was insane. The guy who had all the technical knowledge, who taught us how signal flow works, electronics, and he had an amazing understanding.
Yeah.
Just the person who was in charge of this is how you make a record sound great.
Right.
At least I didn't connect with.
Yeah.
And couldn't learn from.
Yeah.
So just to not totally
I know.
shit on that.
I was painting with a broad brush there.
And for me, it was really helpful to learn in a formal setting because of my personality, which is just like, oh, it's all too hard. You know, I don't know how to, I didn't have that drive. So if you're forced to show up to class, you're going to learn the things that you don't want to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think like the experience of like, you know, trying to get a job or like hoping that there is a job and stuff. I think a lot of people can relate. So if you didn't have that experience, it may not have, you might have just kept experiencing like dissatisfaction, I guess is maybe a term for it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. And so how long were you at the base for?
I think like a year and a half.
Yep. And were you just doing all the classic intern stuff?
Yeah, like it was definitely more of that old school headspace of, you make coffees and sit in the corner and don't say anything. It was a little bit of that. Forrester was he was really good at encouraging me to learn and giving me responsibility. Sweet. But I still feel like, because I worked with other people at the studio too, not just him. Yep. There was still a bit of that T-boy hierarchy thing.
I thought that was a person's name.
No, that's a real English thing, like the T-boy. Oh, yeah. You know, like, but I feel like if you were an assistant in a studio in England in the 80s, it was like, you know, you were like a punching bag, right? Yeah.
It
was like
I've
brutal.
Heard some stories. It's fucking brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that sort of stuff was kind of on the way out.
Good.
Really.
Yep.
Yeah. And no, I got really lucky. I built stuff. I tidied, built like things to hang leads on.
Yep.
repatched messy rooms and then eventually did engineering, and even to a point where it was like I'd be left in the room with the band, you know, not the A, but some of them, yeah.
Yeah,
or
cool.
Maybe I was put off to like comp a bass. That's what I did a lot of. Sorry,
Yeah,
a lot of editing.
okay, cool.
Yeah, you do all the tedious shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the stuff that.
I don't know if I was any good. I'd love to ask him. I was like, was I just a pain in the ass? Like, did I just slow down the process? I definitely need to write and say thanks. Thanks for having me, and sorry I sucked.
And then after that, what did that look like?
That ties on nicely because I remember him saying to me one day, he's like, you just need to go out and do it. You're ready. Like, go out and start working with bands. But I think he was also like, I need you to go.
Yeah.
I don't want you here anymore.
Right. Maybe.
Nah. Yeah, he basically was like, go start producing.
Yeah,
people.
cool. It's so funny because the people that have done similar things, that interning things like that, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, okay.
That they eventually just get to that point. They're like, "What are you doing? Go."
Yeah. I think it was lovingly said.
I would hope that.
I was doing it anyway, a little bit, but that was like, oh, okay, cool. I can just go find people. Yeah. And so I was doing a lot of live sound, and that was the best way to just chat to bands. And early on, I actually approached like the worst bands I could find.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like, if I stuff it up, I was worried I was going to just do a terrible job. I'm like, well, no one's going to ever listen to this band. I can do a terrible job. And it's like,
you're setting yourself a pretty low bar there.
Yeah, but it was like, I can just kind of stuff up a few recordings and then I'll approach some bands I actually think are good and whatnot.
Right. So good for the experience, not necessarily good for your
and I don't recommend that approach. Just work with good bands straight away. And just work with your friends, like hang out with your mates who make good music and do their records. You don't need to do bad records to get your chops up.
No, I don't think you're making your life harder, really.
Totally. Yeah. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And so from then on, was there more interning, or was it all from then on, I'm doing it myself?
No more. I think I sort of phased out of the interning. I think the studio would occasionally hit me up if they actually just needed someone. It wasn't paid.
Yep.
But it meant that I sort of had access to that space and got it at a good rate, I think.
Yep.
I may not be remembering that correctly. But look, live sound was really the thing that enabled me to get work.
Yep.
And it's much easier to get a good band live sound because there's a lot more demand for it. It's a less saturated, well, it was. I assume it's the same still.
Yeah.
It was less saturated, so easy to kind of get a band that was maybe further along than you were.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And then if you got along with the band, then you've got that relationship, and then it's an easier transition to convincing them to do. But my angle at the time was, just cover the studio costs. I'll do it for free. Making them offer they can't refuse.
Yeah.
Which worked.
Yeah.
It did some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think the point where it went from like I was just dicking around to like, I'm making money off this and people are searching me out was Stealing O'Neill, pop punk band, Your World.
Yeah.
I really liked them. I was doing front of house for them. And I'd been pestering them about recording.
Yep.
That never happened, but the drummer started a new band called Goldfields as like indie was the thing.
Yeah, I think I remember the name.
They did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they haven't I think they've kind of been forgotten, I think, but at the time it was an exciting thing.
Yeah.
So they just did some demos and because I've been pestering Ryan, the drummer, he was like, come down.
Yep.
Come and help us with these demos.
Yeah, cool.
And the demos were amazing.
Did you just have a portable rig or like what?
Nah. I just my whole thing has always been I don't need any gear. I've always wanted to be like it's just me.
Taking the studio.
It's my brain that is the thing.
Yep.
And also because studios, it's a hard thing to make work financially. They're not a great business model. They cost a lot for what you get back. I'm changing my headspace around that.
Okay.
But
things have changed since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also early on, so back then that was still when everyone was trying to hire out like $800 rooms, and I was definitely rethinking things, which I'd learned a lot from Forrester, is that you can do heaps digitally. Most people are still analog. So we were definitely, especially with Goldfields, really experimenting with just doing everything in the box and doing it.
Cool.
Like recording drums with just like do the hi-hat with one mic, then the kick.
Yep.
And doing it as like cheap as possible, but still sounding awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And
so
then
real DIY indie approach.
Yeah.
And like the philosophy I had was, instead of having one day at Sing Sing for $800, let's do like 10 days at a home studio.
Yeah.
For $800.
Yeah.
And hire things.
Absolutely.
And it was like that having time was more of an advantage than
that
the quality of equipment
absolutely.
Or space.
There's merit in that. I think I was probably 10 years behind you in my journey. And so I kind of started around that 2010, 2011 sort of time. And that was when lots of sampling was like the new thing.
Yeah.
There was like, to me,
yeah.
and in the like what people were talking about and production and all that sort of stuff. And I think my philosophy has always been make do with what you've got.
Yeah.
And just work at it to make it sound good.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then it's a breeze with good shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think indie, the genre though, really lent itself to that.
You're right.
Because it was, the thing that was so exciting about that time in music was bands were fusing electronic and rock in a really ambiguous way.
Yep.
And that meant you could do things cheaply because you could blend, and you could have, the drums could sound robotic or dry with no room, whatever. The sounds of that time.
And there was a garage sounding mentality to it as well. Like it was kind of cool to be rough.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, it's sort of.
It's a cool era for music, I think.
In terms of awesome.
Rock music.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Super innovative.
Huge. Yeah. So alongside Goldfields, who else were you working with at that time? Yeah.
Because the Goldfields song did well. And again, this was when Triple J was your avenue to reaching Australia. It was the primary thing. And they got smashed on the radio, and then that was so then they were touring, they were hanging out with other bands. I was doing their front of house as well.
Yep.
So then I met other artists through that, and Northeast Party House was one of the first bands I did off the back of that.
Yep.
I produced them.
Yep.
While I was producing them, the drummer quit.
Right.
We got along. We made each other laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
I was still keen to play, so I joined the band. I auditioned and got in, but yeah.
Yep.
And then I got City Calm Down album from that.
Yeah, awesome.
And honestly, I feel like City Calm Down has been the band that the records I did with them has really just, the word of mouth has enabled me to have a career.
Yeah, that's huge. Can you talk more on that? I think it's a really important thing to talk about with like the importance of word of mouth and how to kind of like make the most out of that sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I'm going to be listening to your podcast to answer that question.
No worries. Well, what's it look like for you? I think
like good music, good people, if you make a good record, people enjoy it, talk about it. I think what the lesson is for me, I don't know how to get a career out of that, but I think what the lesson is for me is that everything we should be trying to do is just make good art. And that is the only real goal. And I don't think you should focus on trying to have a career. I just think that's an exhausting way to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think the focus is, how do I make awesome music?
Yeah, make good shit.
Yeah, and if I love producing and it takes up a little more time than being once a week, it's like you just got to balance your life in a way that allows you to be the best you can be artistically.
Yep.
And that might mean you have a job, or it might mean you do it as a career.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I look at people, like my theory that I'm developing is when I listen to interviews with people like Brendan O'Brien's one I watched recently where he went through his whole life story.
Yep.
Like I have. I didn't mean to get that detailed.
No, I love it.
But he went through it and it's like, you just kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
And you worked really hard. And
yep.
he doesn't, no one seems to know that answer. Or how you build a career out of it. It just sort of happens. Like you do a record and then it leads to this other thing and this other thing.
Yeah.
And some people end up doing it full time, other people don't. And I don't really think it's a measure of that they were more successful or not. Yep. That's why I'm really trying to bring it back to, I think my measure of success is moving forward. I just want to make really good music.
Yeah.
And I'll figure out what the best way to do that is. Is it that I, start marketing and reaching out to people, or is it that I go get a job so that I can really create space to do it in that way without any kind of constraints?
The eternal question.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I've also forgotten the question.
No, it's all good. I wanted to dive into
I just went in a big circle, got lost there.
That's fine.
I'm just standing in the car park trying to find my car now. That's the mental space I'm in.
Let's talk about your approach to working then, like when you're in the studio.
Yeah.
What does it look like these days as opposed to how did it look back then? Has it changed or is it the same?
Wait, ask me that one more time.
When you're in the studio and you're working and you're producing, or if you're mixing, how is that approach? Is it evolved much? Is it pretty much the same thing?
Heaps.
Yeah, cool. Good.
Oh, this is something I definitely want to talk about. I love being much more honest about everything and not like making myself out to be this effortlessly great, operator.
Sure.
I love I love it when artists and people open up about what they struggle. So I mean, the philosophy I had, which was really helpful, again from Forrester, was do whatever you need to do to make it sound right. There's no rules.
Yeah.
So I used to just I would mix in a way that was like very fear based.
Yeah, right.
With mixing, I'll get to production in a sec. But if I'd EQ'd a guitar and it was good but wasn't right, I would be too scared to undo what I've done. I just put another EQ on it. And so I can show you sessions from back then, like back when I was having stuff that was like getting, number one most played song on Triple J. That you just go to the session and my guitar has 6 8-band EQs all going, and then they're going into a guitar pass that has another 6 EQs all with 8 bands, and there's 200 hertz boosted here, 200 hertz taken out there.
Yeah.
So that's something I used to do. My sessions just look like just the chaos. Mind of a madman. This person is how is this person functioning in the world? This
it's so do you know
this is looking into the deep dark.
I just wanted when I was listening to some stuff on the way up, I've listened to some of your stuff before, but on the way over, I was like, man, he doesn't over-process at all. That's so funny that you've said that.
And just put too much compression on my drums. So then I've added a separate kick sample that's not in the bus chain.
It's so good.
Instead of just maybe, or just stupid stuff. Or putting a transient designer after a compressor that's undoing the transients I've taken off. Just the most counterproductive, manic, insecure looking workflow.
That description is amazing.
But the thing that I did do right is I just kept going until it was good, and I would go nuts. I remember being a mix and sitting there with my eyes closed and flicking between the two and just getting so agitated and spending hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would spend 3 days mixing a song, and I'm talking 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that's where I started.
Yeah.
Now I can mix a song in 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
I have the confidence and the experience now. If I EQ something and it's not right, I just go, oh, that's not right. I'll start again.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
So my sessions look like when you see a mix with the masters now,
it's
where
a
it's
lot
just
cleaner.
They've just got a boost of 8K on a snare and okay, that's it. That's the mix done. And you're like, what? How does that work? But yeah, I think when something's produced well, that's how a
It's
lot
huge,
of it
isn't
looks.
it? Like that's
And
such a big thing.
And producing's the same. Like I used to just so many overdubs of things, and instead of going like, oh, this guitar sound isn't full enough or this synth sound isn't hitting the frequency range, we just add another layer. And then the thing, the classic thing that musicians do that I didn't have the knowledge or confidence to counter. Like I remember working with the Creases on their album, and it was like we'd record a guitar lead, right, which would take up that sort of 2 to 3K range. And then he'd sing his vocal, which was very similar, different melody. And we're like, okay, we're going to put down a synth part. And the synth part was like another lead part that also sat in that like 2 to 3K range. And there's like, oh, and then we've got this other like trumpet part that we're going to do. And it was like 6 lead lines all in the same frequency range. And then the bass player's playing like a really high part. Like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And there's just nothing between like 800 hertz and so 60 hertz. And then I'd go to mix it and I'd lose my mind because I'm like, why doesn't it sound good? But, you know, so my arrangements back then, I didn't really understand how to create a nice full sounding. Yeah. And the answer was always, oh, another overdub. Just put another layer on it. And like, you know, it worked sometimes. And it also made really wacky, interesting stuff. So that's that whole thing of being naive and being ignorant means you create really interesting things.
Absolutely.
Like I have never had good technical knowledge. That has never been what I'm interested in, and I've actually purposely avoided it.
It's so funny.
And same with like never had super strong melodic knowledge. Like I did study 4-part harmony. Can't remember any of it, but
this is again because my brain when I was listening to your stuff, I was like, this guy gets it.
Well,
man.
I do now. But I came through that. Being intentionally naive to be more creatively free. And it worked, but it does pull against you at times, like I've just outlined.
But I also love it because that naivety is like you just go with it and see and just keep
going. That's why I keep going for I had good grounding philosophies early on, which was there's no rules. Don't kick over the snare bottom mic because who the hell says that's not going to be amazing?
But also, that's the most bizarre tip. Anyway, like no snare bottom. It's like one of the almost one of the most important things to a snare sound. Anyway, go on. I love it.
Yeah, and then just do whatever you need to do. Like don't get caught up in ideologies about things.
It's so hard when you're young and these days, I don't even know with kids that just get fed all this shit.
Yeah. I wanted to get into that.
Dude, like
the overwhelm of unhelpful, negative information, like the amount, because it's clickbait, because it's all around like engaging people.
Yeah.
So you've got, 10 reasons why your bass sucks.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, if you're thinking about that there is a good or bad bass and that there is an actual process to what makes a bass sound good, you're already doomed.
Yeah, man. I really feel for the kids. They must be so confused all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a really easy way to navigate through all the noise now is just only listen to people who've made an album or a record that you love. Like if the person talking about these tips and tricks isn't someone who's made a song that you like, I think just don't listen to it.
Yep. Turning off
just in terms of like filtering it. That's an instant filter that like pulls you down to like maybe 3 people that you can then listen to and get actually useful advice.
Yep. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Ryan Green, who used to engineer all of the like Fat Records, skate punk stuff back in the day. And he was like, I never reference. And I was like, holy shit.
You can hear that.
Yeah, I know.
I love those NoFX records, but sometimes I'm like,
I know.
What? You could have like, did you listen in the car, man? Come on.
I know.
It sounds like a chainsaw.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, that's so funny.
But it's better.
It just creates this thing though.
It means it's got a vibe. Because the thing that overshadows any sort of lack of fidelity is that it's got this awesome personality and it sounds punk rock because he didn't reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he just went like, who cares?
Fuck it. I want the kick to have no bottom end and just be pure click.
Yeah.
He used to do this thing where he would tape a 50-cent coin to the kick drum. So every time the beater hit it, it would hit the coin.
Got it. So it's got more click. Yeah.
I'm like, that's wild.
I would have just been like,
so
let's
funny.
fix that in the mix. That's where I started.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Oh, well, that's sick. And so I guess we can kind of talk about where your energy is spent these days. Are you spending more time producing or are you spending more time mixing?
Over lockdown, I got heaps of mixing, and then obviously what you do feeds onto what you do. So I probably do like 51% mixing.
Okay.
It's and pretty the rest even. Is I don't know. I'd have to look over what I've done recently. It's definitely a little bit more mixing and then producing and then mastering.
Yeah, cool.
And songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, are you just dedicating your time?
Mixing also just suits my lifestyle at the moment better.
Sure.
With a young family. It's more flexible.
Yeah.
You know, producing requires you to be in a space with other people and organize other people's schedules.
Totally.
That's not why I'm doing less of it, but at the moment I do it's just for right now where I'm at, mixing is probably just more conducive to my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're asking a question.
I was just going to say, like, when you are choosing like what you're working on at the time, is it purely this is the thing that requires my attention right now and then I'll get to everything else later? Or do you have like, by the sounds of things, you might not have a very clear outline?
Yeah, so definitely, again, you're talking about how have I evolved. I used to be complete chaos, as you should be if you're in the music industry.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here, right?
Yeah.
We're all the chaotic brains who just can't function in the rest of everything else.
Oh, maybe I should do that mix for 5 seconds and then move on.
Yeah. No, I've always been like with producing and mixing, I've always had good focus, which is again why I probably ended up doing it. But anyway, I was very chaotic in my process. There wasn't really a clear process, and now I do.
Mm-hmm.
But my process is also that I program in to be completely flexible and free to evolve with whatever the situation is. So, the process can be that. I think so much of it is about creating space for creativity to happen, right? So that's I think that's entirely what it's about.
Yeah. It's so counterintuitive when you think of it, like when you theorize it. You're like, I need to just go with what I'm like loving at the moment. But if the chaos doesn't allow you to focus properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get very nerdy about it, I think the experience of making music is a zoomed out, non-sort of rational type experience. It's not linguistic based. It's very much like intuition and connection and emotion and all that sort of flow, right hemisphere kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but how do you, then you have to have like there is an element of it being organized and
I think potentially that's why.
So how do you create a linguistic understanding of what is essentially a non-linguistic experience?
Yeah.
With you need to be efficient and effective, but you also don't want to like get in the way of that that experience.
I think that's why potentially people are able to become producers or mixers or something like that.
Because
they can do that. They can channel it.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're just a musician, I'm not saying all musicians like this is not, but the tendency to like focus so much on the music so that you can't organize your time effectively and stuff like that. It doesn't come as naturally to those types maybe.
The actual answer to that question is a mix. I know a really highly produced rock song will take me about 8 to 12 hours. I do an initial day where I do like a good 6 hours of like very focused work. And then I sleep on it and I do another 2 to 4 hours on it.
Yep.
And then it's usually sounding pretty good. I know that it won't get there for another 3 or 4 revisions across 2 hours, but I really value the band's input in that stage. And bands have almost always made the mix better. Occasionally not, but most of the time. So that is the process in terms of how I schedule the time.
It's great.
It's like I have an 8-hour day. 2 hours of that's going to be like whatever admin or computer freezing and all the usual stuff. So it's like I know I've got 6 hours of actual work.
Yeah.
And then it's going to take me probably 8 to 12 hours to mix this song.
Yeah.
Back in the day, 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
With 700 EQs.
Yeah,
but yeah. And then I find like stuff that's more electronic, pop, indie. I think by its nature, that music, I find it easier or the productions of that music are less challenging for me.
Yeah.
Or just less, maybe they are just as challenging, but it's less time consuming.
Yeah.
And that is like, I probably can get a song, the first sort of mix done in like 4 to 6 hours. And yeah, I just do that across a day, but I always sleep on it before I review, make changes and then send.
Yeah.
And then loop the artist in. If it's an artist I'm working with for the first time, I will try and get it absolutely nailed before I send it through because I don't know the relationship yet.
Sure.
And then, you know, you send it through and be like, oh, this is just a rough this is just a rough mix drummed up there? That I did not spend 3 nights not sleeping about. Yeah, I actually don't ever think about mixing once I walk out of the room or producing anymore. I used to like lie in bed, but you know. But so that's something else that's changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I would approach a mix in terms of my time and in terms of the actual way I approach the process. It's like what we were saying before. It changes depending on the song and what you're listening to. But most of the time, it's like kick drum.
Yeah. Let's
define the low end.
Let's dive into that. Sorry. Let's talk like a mix.
Yeah. We'll go
the thing
mixing.
that I love about hearing your stuff.
Yeah. You can cut the first part of this conversation out and start now.
Yeah, let's do this.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah. I love the clarity. I think you are able to get really great clarity across all the instruments, but your drum sound I love, dude. Like
sick.
Thick, thuddy, punchy, crisp at the same time. Like there's not heaps of reverb. Like it's quite dry.
Yeah.
Which allows just the impact.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. Like obviously comparing your rock stuff to the electronic stuff, there's heaps more bottom end in your electronic stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
So
this is the genre.
Let's dive in.
Yeah. All right. So generally it's like what I found to avoid that situation with epic EQ on everything, if you have the right amount of low end to start with, it's so much easier to figure out your mid-range and your and mid-range is what I find is the hardest. So if I define the low end with the kick drum or the bass or both right up front, get it within like 90% of where it should be.
Yep.
And the only way I know how to do that is I've been in the same room for the last 3 years. So I now know really well what should low end sound like, how much should there be.
Yep.
I know it straight away on those speakers in that room. So I'm pretty much, I get it there as quick as I can. And then the other thing I want to define quickly is just the crispy treble stuff. Because as soon as I've kind of got those within 80, 90% of where they need to be, it makes it so much clearer how the rest of the mix is going to fit into that. And it just stops so much back and forth. If you've got that nice fat low end or whatever amount of low end it's meant to be for that song, it just informs all your other decisions really quickly and easily. And that's how you can get a mix sounding awesome in a couple of hours is just getting that first step right. And
what challenges do you find with like generally across the board to get to that place?
I don't anymore because I just know how much I'm supposed to hear. As soon as I hear a kick drum, I'm like, oh, that doesn't have enough.
Yeah.
Or it's like straight away like, oh, that sounds fine. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
And the bass thing, I know it has to, if it doesn't have anything below 80 hertz, like because often bass players will play up higher, I know immediately like, okay, this is never going to sound as nice in the low end, or I need to figure out how to work with this or so I sort of know straight away how much to add. Like it's just really intuitive. Like I was saying before, it's not something I can verbally explain. I just know instantly. I can dial it in.
Yeah.
And then once it's there, every other choice is pretty easy from that point. It's just about having fun with it and making it sound cool in the moment.
Yeah.
And that is the first stage. The first 4 hours for me is like no referencing, no second guessing, just have fun. Just create a personality, like be ballsy, do silly things.
Yep. And is that always drums and bass pretty much?
Okay, I basically I watched, so Andy Wallace, in terms of the rock world, if we just talk about that for a sec, Andy Wallace is for me like the GOAT.
Yeah.
And his process really resonates with me, how he thinks about things. It just really aligns with me. Essentially kick drum and then snare and then bring in guitars.
Cool.
And then bring in the bass.
Yep.
And you're just listening to kick, snare, guitars, bass.
Cool.
Sometimes I do bass first. It just depends on the production. If it's like an indie one with really jangly, high, B52 style playing, that's a bass driven starting point.
Yep.
If it's power chords, pop punk,
start
with rhythm guitars, kick and snare, and just get those three elements to sound sick together.
That's sick.
And then you bring everything else in and fit them kind of around that.
Yeah.
And then vocals I find in rock usually slot in last, and it's different. If it's indie, it might be like kick drum, bass, and a vocal first. That's where you get into again, I don't know the answer. I just know in the moment when I'm listening to it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm answering your question at all.
No, it is. I love it. No, it is.
Caffeine is just coursing through my system, and I'm just
no. But this is how it works.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
when you're sitting there,
just my brain is just jumping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is intention, and I know what is a waste of time, and I know what needs to be get right straight from the get-go. And it's the same with producing, with the arrangement I was talking about earlier. I know what you have to get right in the tracking stage and focus on first to make sure the whole thing kind of unfolds.
Yep.
Because if you're pulling, you need to have your sounds great straight away, so that every sound you pull or record is interacting with that other sound in the moment, and you can make a creative decision based on how they're working together right from the get-go.
What's your production process like? Do you do a lot of pre-production with the bands?
I mean, that's what I want to do. Yeah, the more pre-production you do, the better. And usually it's fine just to be sending stuff over the internet to each other. We rarely get down to a rehearsal, but you can do that.
Drums first, everything else first?
Okay. In terms of, I love it when the band demos their song.
Yep.
And then I get the stems from the demo, and then I do all my pre-production with the demo.
Cool.
Fix things up and send it back to them, so that we've sort of already ironed out a lot of the problems first.
Yep.
Same with like an electronic track. I find with electronic music though, there is no demo. It's like you write the song and you just build off that.
Yeah.
And the mixing and the production is all kind of intertwined. It's a lot more confusing and
what's the
I didn't answer your question again.
You are. What's the tendency in electronic track to like keep replacing shit? Because or is it just like, no, this is the vibe?
I think at some point you have to kind of go, that's what the song is. Like that's what the artist has brought forward, and just checking in with them and being like, this is what you love, right? This is what you're into.
Yeah.
Cool, let's build off that. Because otherwise you second guess everything and just rebuild in a song. Sometimes you do that, but generally I try to kind of go, oh, this is what it is. So let's just make this the best it can be.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll get something where I really have a strong vision for what they want, and I feel like we're aligned, and I'll know, okay, we've got to completely redo something, change this synth sound and rewrite this bass line. I know what you're trying to get to. This isn't it. And then you're sort of stepping into a bit of a songwriting role, which happens, but that's just generally I do less of that kind of production. I think I'm much more like, for lack of a better description, the Rick Rubin style approach of just like supporting an artist through their journey and making sure that they're creating the way they want to create.
Yep. I do want to talk about communication, but I want to stick with like the nerdy stuff that we're talking about. Yeah. So like, I guess like I think we've already unpacked a lot of it, but yeah, what were we going to say?
I love that you say my stuff sounds not that processed, because that is definitely a thing that I like. There's I do try to make things sound more. I like that perfect middle point of it's super high fidelity, but sounds very, very natural.
Yes.
I have like, you know, my favorite mixes that I go to that really nail that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Andy Wallace always gets it right, but like there's a, just because I heard this song recently, it's on my head, is White Stripes. What's the song?
Oh, you know? Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, like that's super high fidelity.
Yeah, yeah.
And also not at the same time.
Yeah, because they did it to tape and it's like.
So the drums are in mono. Yeah. It's probably like 8 audio tracks. Vocals sound like they threw a guitar amp. It's very like lo-fi, but also it's like the most perfectly arranged frequency spectrum. Like everything is just so beautifully. And the rest of the album's not like that. Like that's definitely because of the song, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like stuff that sounds
the bass string guitar.
Yeah.
On that track, and some of the others are just guitar.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I'll have to go deep dive on how that was.
I'm thinking,
But it was more. I think I am shooting for hi-fi, but
natural
human.
Sounding. Yeah.
That's what's fun. That's what's fun to make.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not necessarily the right decision for what I get, but you know, I generally try to just follow speaking of communication. It's the whole thing is it's not about what I like or what I want. It's just making sure I know what the artist wants, what they're trying to make it sound like, and then doing that for them, and being honest whether or not it's something I can actually do for them.
Yep. While we're on production, what are some of the things that you love to use, tools like hardware, software, when you're engineering and producing a band?
I definitely nerd out on mics. Mics to me, I think it's a really good way to, I feel like they're really powerful, what you can do with mic placement and mic choice. I don't care at all about preamps. If I'm at a studio, I just will always default to the in-house person and say, what's good for this. Most of the time you don't have a choice. It's just what's there. And then I definitely notice I do try to track with as much EQ and compression and go through as much stuff as possible, because I know it's going to be all digital after that recording point with band related stuff.
Yep.
So that's generally my philosophy is put it through as much gear as possible.
Yep.
To give it as much character as possible. And I really nerd out on mic usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and try and get it as good as I can without
any quick pointers.
What I love. We're doing a recently I've been obsessed with these Sony condensers. I can't remember what they're called. They say Sony on them. Yep. It's a silver thing, so I'm not a gear nerd.
Is this for vocals or for drums?
This is for drums or just for anything.
Not the C800 that everyone uses on vocals, or maybe?
Probably. Show me a picture one, I'll tell you if that's it.
It's a silver Sony microphone. Yeah. So really high fidelity, like.
Yeah, there's just and heaps of that low end and not harsh. The thing I love, the thing I'm always looking for with the condenser is not, I don't like them when they have heaps of like 10, 11K, which the cheaper ones have. That's a classic like cheap condenser sound.
Yeah, we won't mention. I was about to mention a name, but I shouldn't.
They must put like a little bump at those frequencies. Like this will sound good. Yeah. So I hate that, and I hate anything that's really like harsh around like 2 to 3K. Yeah. So I'm just looking for condensers that and ribbons that have the full frequency spectrum and aren't too brittle.
Yep. And mixing, what are your go-to plugins that you can't live without?
The SSL channel strip, the 1176.
Yep. Any particular brands?
I like them all.
Yeah.
The Waves one has the best gate.
Yep.
I haven't used the UAD one, but it's probably the best.
Yeah. Everyone says the UAD is the best. I don't use the UAD really.
I use the Brainworks one for the EQ, and I use the Waves one for the gate.
Yep.
And the compressor on the Brainworks one's good.
Yep.
1176. I use a lot of Pro Q because it's just a really quick for, rolling off and like surgery.
Yep.
But I spent a long time using the Waves REQ instead of that. So that was great because it means I've got a good ability to hear, not relying on the visual.
Yes.
So I try to like figure out what it is, and then I look at Pro Q and I'm like, I was right. Yeah, there it is.
It's
there.
A good
I was
right. Or like you double click on the one, and you're like, yep, nailed it first go.
Yeah, I definitely try not to look. That is something is my big thing moving forward is more fader based volume setting. Just side note, less looking, more
instinct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're the main ones. Oh, the SSL bus compressor.
Yep.
I always use.
Yep.
But I'm like, that's me just ripping off Andy Wallace because that's all he uses.
Yeah, the G channel.
Yeah.
I think that was his go-to.
And just really simplistic.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, cool.
I'm not too much of a gear nerd. So I try to. It's not something I think about too much, but I just try to use more simple plugins, and I don't use less of like fancy. I prefer to do it myself than have a plugin make the decision for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And last thing before we start to wrap up, well, I did want to dive into communication. Nah, it's good. When it comes to, I think like a lot of the stuff that gets talked about is like, here's what you want to do. But I think it's just as important to talk about the stuff that doesn't work because when you're starting out, you don't really know those sorts of things. So I guess when you're in a production or a mix, it's more likely to happen in a production. Like when you have things that aren't working, what is your approach to communicating with the artist? Like, and is there general things that you see that you kind of like notice or across the board?
Yeah.
It's a pretty broad question, but.
Yeah, it is broad. I mean, I think if you remember that it's a kind of a customer service job, it's just about understanding what they want and helping them get there. And if you think they can't, if you think they're being unrealistic, I think you just have to explain that to them, which can be really difficult. I don't experience it. I experience a lot bands or artists fighting with each other, but it's rare to have that between myself and the artist. Like Northeast Party House, we had a lot of that, and that was difficult because I was a band member and a producer, and you end up just becoming a band member, and it's that was really difficult, and we always got through it by just lots and lots of conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's all. I don't feel like I'm answering this well because I think my answer is that from the outset, I'm very clear in what the expectations are and what the goal is. I very much want to make it clear, like we're not going in this and expecting to hear this song on radio every day. This is about you having a creative vision, and I'm going to help you get the recording that sounds like what you sort of had in your head, or we're going to discover what it is that you want to do together in the process.
Yeah.
And just setting like very realistic expectations early on.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's honestly the thing that needs to happen more is the conversation before the action.
Yeah.
Because when you don't set expectations, that's usually when you notice these things pop up. You're like, I should have said something earlier. But it's like, well, there's plenty of opportunity up front to
But I think usually if an artist is unhappy with either an outcome or there's some sort of, I can't remember what you said was an example.
Mm-hmm.
I basically just, I don't ever go like, no, I've reached my 12 hours that I said I'd do. It's just like, let's keep going. Let's figure this out. And sometimes it's a grind. Sometimes you have 15 mix revisions, or sometimes you have to do, a day extra for free at home in your studio working with the artist. But I think it's better just to sit there and work it out together. And then that's when it's on you as a producer to be like, when you're thinking about how you invoice up front.
Yeah.
It's like factor in a worst case scenario so you don't feel like you're getting so that it isn't stressful for you as a producer or mix engineer if it blows up and there's disagreements and it doesn't feel like a grind.
Yep.
Factoring that in from the outset, that's the artistic process, that this might all come up quickly and easily, or this might just be a really challenging and endless experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't find yourself in a position where you're like in conflict.
Yeah.
You just stay in that role of I'm here to support your vision.
Absolutely.
There's obviously going to be a point where maybe they have lost their mind, but I find usually other band members, or if they're a solo artist, their manager is usually on side with you. They're like, they've lost their mind. It's time to call it. It's over, And usually you've got a good support network then to kind of navigate that.
Mm-hmm. So such good points. I love it. I love it. Well, we will start to wrap it up.
I didn't even get nerdy.
What would you love to?
No.
Anything that you'd love to bring up for you?
No, you gave me plenty of opportunity. I just went on tangents and also
That's
just
the
forgot.
point of a podcast.
I just forgot. I forgot what I was gonna get nerdy about.
What do you got coming up? What are you looking forward to in the next few months?
I'm still mixing the Lashiv record, which is really fun.
Awesome.
That's what's happening like next week. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Sick.
Yeah. Can't think of what else.
Good.
Exciting things on the horizon, but who knows if they'll happen or not. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Awesome, man. But that's always the way with what we do.
Yeah. You
can never, until you're actually doing it, you can't.
Yeah. I think also just listening to your podcast to figure out how to have a career out of this. or like figure out how I managed to have a career out of it so I can answer that question next time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I always like to wrap up with your quick advice for, first of all, producer, engineer types.
Yeah.
And then secondly, for any artists that might be checking this out.
I think it's the same for both.
Cool.
Don't try and, I would just say the main focus is you do it because it's really fun. You enjoy the process of making music. You like the challenge. You're not looking for shortcuts. And your whole entire aim is to make something that is like what you want to creatively give. Mm-hmm. And don't turn it into this like thing where you're having to, don't let it become a chore and don't think about it in terms of a career, I think is just the main thing early on. Just focus on having fun and making something that you're proud of and that you love.
Absolutely.
And then if you're lucky enough, then you can deal with the problem of how to turn it into a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It's been awesome. I've loved unpacking all this shit. It's great. It's great. But thank you all for checking this out. And if you want to spread the word about us, just share our stories, all that sort of thing. And yeah, we will see you next time on What's That Sound podcast.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to What's That Sound. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe on your podcast platform to stay up to date with each new episode. We'll catch you next time.